Hi, everyone. I'm Benita Perkins with Durham County Public Health. I provide employee wellness programming for the county. I also am president of Benny Girl Health and Lifestyle Branding and Communication. And we work with stakeholders, government entities, and other organizations to bring a healthy lifestyle message to women of color to deal with the health disparities that we're experiencing, self-determination, how we take control of living our lives is what I focus on. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about exercise versus diet for weight loss. And this is a conversation that people have all the time. Is exercise going to help me lose weight? Is dieting, which is the best way to go about it? And if I have to take pain, which pain am I going to take? Anyway, let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. And hopefully you see this in presentation mode. But let's get started. Exercise versus diet. Which works best for weight loss? How exercise affects body weight is one of the more intriguing and vexing issues in physiology. Exercise burns calories, no one doubts that. And so it should, in theory, produce weight loss, a fact that has prompted countless people to undertake exercise programs to shed pounds. But without significantly changing their diets, few succeed. Spoiler alert, the newest science suggests that exercise alone will not make you lose weight, but it may determine whether you keep the weight off once you've achieved the loss. It's not about abandoning exercise as a weight loss tool, but understanding what exercise can and cannot do. So let's talk about homeostasis. When we start an exercise program, our bodies initially resist changing because they want to stay at the existing body calibration of intake and calorie use. The body offsets increased energy needs with an increased desire for food, which is why we initially tend to be hungrier after starting to exercise. In addition, our body may slow our metabolism to also assist in keeping the weight on. The mechanisms that control appetite and energy balance in the human body are elegantly calibrated. The body aims for homeostasis. It likes to remain at whatever weight it's used to. So even small changes in energy balance can produce rapid changes in certain hormones associated with appetite, particularly the acrylate ghrelin, which is known to increase the desire for food, as well as insulin and hormones that affect how the body burns fuel. And as we can see, the definition here, the state of steady internal physical and chemical conditions maintained by living systems. So that is what our body's trying to stick at. Whatever it's surviving at, it's like we're fine. Even though, the weight loss would be probably a good goal, depending on your, your health and your situation. Exercise impacts metabolism, appetite, and body composition, though the consequences of exercise can vary. Women's bodies, for instance, seem to direct them to eat more compared with men after exercising. So it's kind of frustrating for women, right? I mean, our bodies are trying to keep the weight on us, and let's talk about why that might be. Let's review 4 studies. The first study we're going to look at was in 2009, and it was a study undertaken at University of Mass Amherst to study exercise's impact on appetite between men and women. 18 overweight or obese men and women completed 4 bouts of exercise on a treadmill for 4 days. Afterwards, the study showed that after the study showed The study showed that after exercise, the hunger hormone equivalent ghrelin increased and insulin levels decreased in women compared with before exercise. This change was not observed in men. Women's bodies were directing them to eat more to make up for the expended energy, most likely a result of the biological need to maintain energy stores for reproduction. So, yes, women, it can be harder for us to lose weight compared with men. In physiological terms, the results are consistent with the paradigm that mechanisms to maintain body fat are more effective in women. That study too had some encouraging news about exercise and weight loss for women. In a study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, researchers from Harvard University looked at the weight change histories of more than 34,000 participants in a women's health study. The women began the study in middle age at an average age of about 54 years old and were followed for 13 years. During that time, the women gained on average 6 pounds. Some packed on considerably more, but a small subset gained less than 6 pounds, coming close to maintaining the body size which they started with in the study. Those were the women who reported exercising almost every day for an hour or so. The exercise involved was not strenuous. It was the equivalent of brisk walking, but it was consistently engaged in over the years. I think that says a lot. A third study looked at 97 healthy, slightly overweight women who were put on an 800-calorie diet until they lost an average of about 27 pounds each. Now, I don't know about you, but surviving on an 800-calorie diet, they'd have to be paying me as well, because that is a very difficult, amount of food to eat when our bodies normally are used to, a normal calorie intake is about 1,200 calories. So when we're at 800, we're really restricting ourselves, and it's not easy to do. Each of the women, as I reported, lost about 27 pounds. Some of the women, after the weight loss, were then assigned to a walking program. Some were put on a weight training regimen, and others were assigned no exercise at all. Afterwards, all returned to their old eating habits. Those who stuck with either of the exercise programs regained less weight than those who didn't exercise. And even more striking, did not regain weight around their middles, around their abdomens. The women who didn't exercise regained their weight and preferentially packed on the new pounds around their abdomens. It's a well-known fact that abdominal fat is particularly unhealthy, contributing significantly to metabolic disruptions and heart disease. And the danger of belly fat. If your waist measures 35 or more inches for women or 40 or more inches for men, that's dangerous. This visceral fat is metabolically active and has been strongly linked to a host of serious disease risk, including heart disease, cancer, and dementia. These results suggest that if you can somehow pry off the weight, exercise may be the most important element in keeping the weight off. I'm going to say that again. These results strongly suggest that if you can somehow pry off the pounds, exercise may be the most important element in keeping the weight off. So now we can see, we start to get a better idea of what exercise can do. Study number 4. Let me go back a second. Exercise seems to remodel the metabolic pathways that determine how the body stores and utilizes food. And let's talk about that. Scientists are not sure yet just how and why exercise is so important in maintaining weight loss in people. But as I just stated, in animal experiments, which we're going to go over this last one, exercise seems to remodel the metabolic pathways that determine how the body stores and utilizes fat. And I said that twice, but I think that's worth understanding. So let's talk about this fourth study. In the study performed at the University of Colorado at Denver, a group of rats were fattened. The scientists then switched them to a calorie-controlled, low-fat diet. The animals shed weight, dropping an average of about 14% of their fat. Afterwards, the animals were put on a weight maintenance diet. At the same time, half of them were required to run on a treadmill for about 30 minutes most days. The other half remained sedentary. For 8 weeks, the rats were kept at their lower weights in order to establish a new baseline weight. For the final 8 weeks of the experiment, the rats were allowed to relapse, to eat as much as they wanted. The rats that had not been running on the treadmill fell upon the food eagerly. Most regained the weight they lost and then some. But the exercising rats metabolized calories differently. They tended to burn fat immediately after their meals, while the sedentary rats, their bodies burned carbs first and sent the fat off to be stored in fat cells. The running rats, meanwhile, also produced signals suggesting that they were full, satiated, and didn't need more food. Although the treadmill exercises regained some weight, their relapses were not as extreme. So basically, these exercises, the exercising rats, once the experiment was over, their bodies were burning fat first and then going to carbs, where the rats that weren't exercising were burning carbs and storing fat. So I think that says a lot right there. Exercise had reestablished the homeostatic steady state between intake and expenditure to defend a lower body weight. Running had made the rats' bodies so that they ate less. And so here's a thought. Just like the body initially fights weight loss by increasing hunger and slowing metabolism, it also fights weight gain by more efficiently utilizing calories. Use this information to your advantage. And I would say efficiently using calories and not having the need to eat as much. So your bodies are adjusting to try to keep you at that lower weight. Use this information to your advantage, especially if you are at or close to your desired weight. Emerging evidence suggests that unlike bouts of moderate vigorous exercise activity, low-intensity ambulation or exercises like standing may contribute to daily energy expenditures without triggering the need to eat more. In a completed but unpublished study conducted in an energy metabolism lab, a group of volunteers spent an entire day sitting. If they needed to visit the bathroom or any other location, they spun over in a wheelchair. Meanwhile, in a second session, the same volunteers stood all day, not doing anything in particular, just standing. The difference in energy expenditure was remarkable, representing hundreds of calories, but with no increase among the upright in their blood levels of ghrelin or other appetite hormones, meaning they weren't directed to be hungrier, even though they were burning more calories standing compared to sitting. Standing for both men and women burned multiple calories, but did not ignite hunger. So one thing is going to become clear in the coming years. If you want to lose weight, you don't necessarily have to go for a long run. Just get rid of your chair. So the upshot of this whole conversation, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points to take away from. Exercise alone will not make you lose weight. but it may determine whether you keep the weight off once it's lost. Number two, eating less continues to be the gold standard to losing weight. Exercise helps, but your calorie intake is most important when you're in a weight loss mode. Reduce those calories and be very careful of what you're eating are calories that are worthwhile. Understanding homeostasis, or our bodies need to maintain status quo, gives insight to the weight loss battle. Exercise realigns pathways to burn fat rather than storing it. Really important. Fighting weight loss and gain works both ways. Your body will try to defend against weight loss as well as weight gain. And lastly, exercise provides better control of dangerous abdominal fat. Let me go back. So just overall, the data indicates that to lose weight, diet wins 70% of the time. That's one kind of rule of thumb in the industry that we talk about, is that to lose weight, 70% of the, that's going to be 70% of your gain is what you intake. To fast track your weight loss results, couple a healthy diet with regular physical exercise, because physical activity is going to help you, we discussed it, realign your pathway so that you're burning fat rather than carbs. It's going to allow you to get past the homeostasis a little easier. When it comes to keeping the weight off, exercise wins. So keep that up. Once you get to that weight that you want to be at, you really want to keep exercise in your artillery, because that is really going to help you to maintain and give you quality of life. I mean, no one wants to eat lettuce forever. You want to have some balance of, eating things that you enjoy, but also being mindful of, keeping your weight at a place that you feel comfortable. Exercise is going to be the best way to help you do that. If you want to achieve long-lasting results, you got to combine both. You got to look at how you're eating and keep that keep that in check. And you got to have exercise in your daily activity. The American Heart Association recommends at least 150 minutes of moderate cardiovascular exercise, like walking, swimming, biking, dancing. That's just 30 minutes a day. But you can also get it in. I call them exercise snacks. You can do, walking stairs, do 15 minutes of jumping jacks and then go back to work. You can do releves and squat while washing the dishes or brushing your teeth. There's lots of ways to get those exercises in and get and use and burn. I don't want to say burn calories, but get your energy use in without necessarily spending 30 minutes to an hour at the gym. So that's another conversation. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, you can reach me at bperkins@dconc.gov or benita@bennygirl.com. And I can answer any questions you have. But hopefully this was helpful and it makes sense. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you next month at the next webinar. Bye-bye.